Hello everyone, my name is Mario for Cos Spirit and welcome to the channel. So right now what we're going to be doing is the spiritual review of Batman Begins Part 2. Okay, so where we left off, Batman or Bruce Wayne got all his training, so now he's on his way back to Gotham. Okay, so when he's in a plane with Alfred flying back to Gotham, he's telling him that he wants to create a symbol, right? So in his mind, to create a symbol that scares him, but also will scare his enemies. So basically, a bat, right? So my thoughts are, considering we're spiritualists, why not use the same thought process? Create a symbol that promotes peace, that promotes love, compassion, wisdom, God, right? Sort of like a spiritual superhero, right? Something to think about. I'm not saying go out and do all this stuff. I'm just saying within our thoughts, right? Can we come up with a symbol that reflects a spiritual superhero? Something that reflects love, compassion, wisdom, God, right? I think it would be quite interesting to see what kind of symbols we could come up with. So then when Bruce Wayne found the cave underneath the house, there was like an elevator going down a shaft to this cave. So Alfred told him that that's where his grandfather was bringing in the slaves in the Underground Railroad. Okay, so I think it's kind of funny how in Operation Underground Railroad, which Tim Ballard's a part of, which where this hat comes from, right? Where Tim Ballard says slavery now is more popular than when it was legal, right? So when his grandfather was bringing in the slaves, I guess in the South or whatever, it was still legal. But now it's more popular now than when it was, then let's say it was real, when his grandfather built or was bringing the slaves over in the Underground Railroad. So I just thought that was kind of interesting. And then I guess one of the operatives in the Operation Underground Railroad with Tim Ballard, they actually call him Batman. So I thought that was interesting as well. So they also speak of enemies in the movie. Now, from a spiritual perspective, do we have enemies or opportunities, right? Do we have enemies or students, right? If we teach by our example, we will have students instead of enemies. If we teach by our examples, we will have opportunities to share God's wisdom instead of having enemies. So that's a spiritual perspective behind it. So also in the movie, the whole point was that the Legion of Shadows had a weapon. It was a water vaporizing weapon, which the Wayne Foundation had created, right? So they had stolen this weapon, and they're going to use that to vaporize all the water in Gotham, which they had put a drug into it, which would make everybody go like get really afraid and then self-destruct, fight each other and self-destruct. Well, at one point they actually started to use this vaporizing weapon, right? And started vaporizing all the water within that one part of Gotham. Well, technically, if it vaporizes water, wouldn't it vaporize the water in everybody's bodies? In all the fruits, the vegetables, the animals, the plants, the trees? So I thought that was another an interesting thought there. So then, at one point when he meets Rachel Dawes again, which was his childhood friend, right? Now she's become a prosecutor. She says to him, "It's not what you are underneath that defines you; it's what you do." Well, what we are underneath is light. Our true beingness is spirit, is light. So technically we should be doing what we are underneath. So that's a little bit of a false statement. So then, at one point, Ra's al Ghul, right, which he meets again later on in the movie, right? Well, actually, I'm might as well say it to you so it makes sense, but I still encourage you to watch the movie. It turns out that in the beginning, Liam Neeson never really says his name, right? He always speaks about the leader of the Legion of Shadow, which is named Ra's al Ghul, and they have this one guy like portraying him, right? But it ends up at the end of the movie that Ra's al Ghul was Liam Neeson. That was just an illusion, right? So, the beginning of the movie, there was a point where Bruce Wayne, they asked him to execute this one prisoner. He said, "No, I'm not an executioner. I want to bring people to justice, but that's about it." So they said, "Well, you have to do that to lead these men, right?" And he said, and then he just created this big explosion and all that. And then Liam Neeson's character flew out of the building, was flying down the one hill of a mountain, which was covered with snow. So Bruce Wayne ran out, grabbed him, and saved him from falling over the cliff, right? So now, where we are now, he meets Liam Neeson again, right, in his house, and Bruce Wayne says to Liam Neeson, says, "Listen, I saved you." And Liam Neeson's character, which is Ra's al Ghul, says, "I warned you about compassion," right? So now they start lighting Bruce Wayne's house on fire, this and that, and then this is all in the same paragraph you want, or the same scene, right? So now he says, so now Ra's al Ghul, Liam Neeson's character, says, "You burnt my house down and left me to die. I'm going to do the same to you." Well, a few lines before that, Bruce Wayne says, "I saved your life." And Liam Neeson says, "Well, I warned you about compassion." But now he's saying, "You burnt my house down, left me to die, and now I'm going to do the same to you." Well, which one is it? Do you either save your life, he should have been compassionate and let you die, or did he leave you to die and now you do the same to him? Like, you know what I mean? It's like a very twisted scene there. So then at the end of the movie, Rachel Dawes now found out that Bruce Wayne is Batman. So she goes and sees him at the end of the movie, and now Bruce Wayne is in love with her. He wants to have a relationship, and she says to him that now Bruce Wayne is the mask, and Batman is really who he is, and then maybe the man she fell in love with is still out there, and they'll have a chance someday. Okay, well, like which one is it, right? Bruce Wayne's the mask, Batman's who he really is. Like, it's not what's inside you that defines you, it's what you do. He's been helping people out, but that's not good enough. It's like, and Rachel Dawes, she's just a prosecutor. She's not a psychologist. like even psychologists would probably find this confusing. It's like for me, they just made Bruce Wayne revolve around Rachel Dawes and how she felt about him, and that he would hang off like she was his existence, which to me really didn't make much sense. You should be your own existence, right? So at the end of the day, for me, I enjoyed the movie. I recommend people to watch it, but if it would have been up to me, I would have made it more just like it was when we were kids. Bad guy, good guy, right? Throw in a little spirituality, have some fun with it, and just leave it at that. You can have like a touch of romance, but when Rachel Dawes becomes the psychologist and all this, when really she's just a prosecutor, I don't recall when she went to school to become a psychologist, when she starts analyzing Batman and knowing this, like, to me it's just too much. You know what? Leave it the way it was originally intended to be, just for kids to have fun. Now we're bigger kids, but you know what I mean? It could still be fun. Throw a little spirituality, you can put a little bit of romance, but don't get excited over it. And you know what? Just leave it at that. So in my opinion, it was a good movie. Obviously, there's certain things I didn't enjoy in it, and there's some illusions in there as well. But But pretty much, I thought it was a good movie. I think they did a really good job. So I think I'll leave it there. So hopefully you enjoyed this spiritual review. If you have any thoughts of your own, please leave them in the comments. Always welcome. And until the next time, have a pleasant day. Thank you.